Hey everybody, welcome to Apocalypse Rising. Thanks for tuning in. In light of the holiday season, I thought I'd take a little different approach today and try to keep it more lighthearted. What I did was I found an article here on the website, and it comes by way of MiamiHerald.com. It's titled, "The Big One's Coming. If we don't want to go the way of the dinosaur, it's time to colonize the moon." And they felt it necessary to put that this is opinion. I think everything that we've read so far on this channel is opinion, whether they put that or not. What I want to do that's just a little bit different is I'm basically just going to summarize this, kind of point out some of the parts that I find most interesting. And I encourage you to go down in the description and click on the link, read the article for yourself, and kind of come to your own conclusions. This is something that we've thought about for a long time, basically space travel and colonizing other planets, and even terraforming, the moon or Mars, things that are relatively close to us. And the reason that we've talked a lot about the moon and Mars is because at the moment our technology for propulsion engines just isn't there to take us very super long distances in the universe without it taking a really, really long time. And of course, we haven't figured out how to teleport. So in terms of like going out to these other planets that might be able to house the human species, that's really far off in the future. In the more near term, going to the moon and going to Mars seems to be what people are talking about. And so that's kind of what this goes over, basically, how undiscovered the universe is and all the things that it holds, that it's dangerous and it's beautiful, and that we still have a lot to learn about it. And I thought this was interesting. Stephen Hawking said that he gives the planet just 200 years before it succumbs to warming, overpopulation, nuclear war, worldwide takeover of artificial intelligence. All the kind of things we've been talking about on this channel, or if we haven't, we will. And that's my opinion as well. I just don't agree with the 200 years part. I think it's more like 10 or 15 years from now.
Damn, Daniel.
And it talks about solar system exploration, some of the crafts that we've sent out, and some of the things we've brought back. And it talks about impacts like asteroids and craters. And basically this comes from mostly the bombardment phase, when galaxies are formed and solar systems are created. And in that, there is a lot of debris that just kind of floats around, and it's going very fast, and obviously can potentially render species on the planet extinct, which is what happened to the dinosaurs. And so now what people are thinking is that it's imperative to adopt a dual strategy for survival, and that's start an active planetary defense system and basically colonizing the moon.
Have you ever had a dream you could do anything?
The planetary defense system, that I think is something that is worth putting money into. That's something that would recognize asteroids and other space objects that could potentially destroy the planet if they were to enter the atmosphere and impact the planet. And find a way to kind of try to divert those things. Although they've done a lot of research and everything I've read on it, it's still kind of a long ways away until we have the technology that can detect this stuff. We do have these things already deployed, but they can only see something like a measly 11% of what's out there, I think. And in terms of being able to intercept asteroids or these objects that are moving at very rapid speeds and deflect them or explode them, that's still all theory based as well.
Mega doo-doo.
And then colonizing the moon, our propulsion systems just aren't there yet. The time it would take for us to be able to do something meaningful in that regard is way off in the future, in my opinion. In terms of so far off in the future, we don't really have time to look at this as a solution to avert the crisis that we face now with climate change. I think it would be something very interesting to explore if we're able to tackle climate change. Okay, now can we put our time and our effort and our resources into maybe expanding out in the universe further? I think that's an option for later on down the road. Then here it just talks about, reminiscing astronomers of past like Kepler and Galileo and what they thought about space travel. And then, of course, we've got President Kennedy, who was the president when we were in the Soviet space race program. And we were basically trying to see who could make it to the moon first and all that kind of stuff. And that's if you believe that we even landed on the moon in the first place. And then it talks about all the other kind of things we've done to go to the moon. And we haven't gone to the moon in a long time. I think China was the last country to go to the moon. And they may have even gone to the dark side of the moon, which is somewhere that I don't think we've ever been before. And so basically this article is talking about how it's time to reinvigorate the space program, which I agree with that. And I think we are kind of starting to do that. And I really think it's probably going to be nuclear powered propulsion. That's just my personal opinion. With the technology that we have now, I believe that that's probably the best candidate to make this happen sooner than later. And people are just scared when you say things like nuclear. So it may or may not happen. Elon Musk and a lot of people with money are really looking at this kind of stuff as ways for them to capitalize. And as soon as capitalism comes into the fold, it tends to accelerate the time in which it takes to actually achieve these things. So I do believe that there will be a time when we can do this stuff, but is it going to be because we can fly far enough, fast enough? Are we going to discover wormholes? I mean, it's so interesting when you think about the universe and science, especially physics, because now you've got quantum physics changing a lot of what we understand about the universe. So who knows what'll come in the next, 15 to 20 years from that. But in the meantime, we should probably focus most of our energy on what we have here, because if we lose sight in that and think that we'll just be able to go to another planet and avert catastrophe, it's going to kind of lull us into a sense of complacency. So that's all I'm going to say about this. Go ahead and take a look. It's a short, interesting read. It really gets your mind going, and it's just another one of those kind of solutions that people are trying to come up with when it comes to humanity's demise. And I really still don't know why people are interested in that. I might put a survey on my website and ask, people why they're interested in this kind of stuff. And I just think it's because we recognize on a subconscious level that eventually this is all going to be gone. And in saying that, I hope everybody has a good holiday season and a happy new year. It's still really crazy here. I know that the stimulus package got blocked. There's a lot of people out there that are going to be left in limbo that can't pay their bills. And I mean, I don't even really care about the $600 paychecks. That's not important to me. And it's important to people, but not as important, I don't think, at least, as the unemployment benefits and the eviction moratoriums. I think those things really need to be extended, or we're going to see a lot of hurt at the beginning of the year. So I don't really know what Trump's doing here, but to me, it seems like he's just throwing a temper tantrum at the end, and he's trying to sow discontent. You know, he's really trying to blow this up, and either that pays off for him because then he gets to declare martial law and try to stay in office, or it leaves a real, excuse my language, shit show for the next administration to kind of clean up. And before I start going down that rabbit hole, I'd just like to say I think next year I'll focus more on other things than just climate change, because I do want my channel to represent a lot more than just being a tree hugger. So I hope everybody has a good new year and some good resolutions. I know for me, I'm going to try to stay more positive. It's probably going to be impossible, and that's the kind of mentality that I need to get rid of right there, is to say that it's going to be impossible to be positive, because that's being negative, right? And on that note, we'll talk to you next time.